Actually, I found it really confronting at first. Because of the experiential nature of the lessons, we were often required to present or perform or talk in front of others or show our artwork, and that was completely out of my comfort zone. But I noticed over time there was a shift, and I started to want to do it, to prove to myself that I could do it. So even though I felt anxious and nervous, I just did it, and little by little I became more confident. I still get nervous, but at least I'm doing it, and I feel really good about the outcomes. No, it wasn't what I was expecting in regards to the experiential learning, but I can see it's got a lot of value, because really that's how clients that we're going to have in the future are going to be feeling. So if I feel uncomfortable doing these kind of things, they're probably going to feel uncomfortable when I'm asking them to do things. So. Yeah, well, there's been so many crazy, wonderful moments. It's really hard to pick one, but the one that is freshest in my memory is the self-esteem play we did. We based it on a fairy tale, and we did The Ugly Duckling. Fortunately for us, it worked out really well, but the fact that we also got to film it was fantastic, and I still have in my memory the dry ice. It seemed like such a ridiculous idea, but it worked. It was so great. So, you know, those little memories, they just stay with you for a long time. Yeah, I think we had to perform a movement piece on the four elements: air, water, earth, and fire. And it wasn't the best piece I did, but it was meaningful to me. It was the fire element. He was really elusive. I couldn't get a grasp on the essence, I suppose. And I think that was because those parts in me were hard to find. So that's why I was finding it so hard to grasp. But when I did, he was actually the one that I enjoyed doing the most. It was the one that felt the most energizing, and I got the most power out of, and I really enjoyed his movement. So he taught me a lot about energy and creativity and passion, and yeah, just doing those things rather than holding back and taking a risk. Can you edit out my face when you said that word? Yeah, I think heuristic is an interesting inquiry. It's not for everyone. While I was going through it, it was a bit like an archaeological dig into my unconscious. I mean, a lot of things were being found. I didn't know what to make of them. It was delving layer upon layer and examining it and seeing if it was something that thought maybe wasn't of value, but you ended up thinking, yes, it is of value, and you put that one to the side. It requires quite a lot of determination and commitment to the question. But yeah, in the end I got a lot out of it. Once I got my head around it and the processes, because there's like 6 phases that we had to go through, I found it really valuable. And it's, you know, it's an extraordinary opportunity actually, because we don't all get the luxury of being able to look inside ourselves and go on that odyssey. And to be able to do that, I felt very fortunate, and I did get some really meaningful stuff out of it. I really like clay work. I find it very therapeutic and relaxing, just being able to to really work with that material. But I also love drama therapy. I think it just gives you a lot of insight into different components of yourself. Do characterizations, you can do movements, and yeah, you just really learn a lot about yourself and other people and your responses to other people. You know, there's been so many, it's hard to just pick one out of all of those, and they've all given something. It does make me laugh though, our very first one, which was about ourselves, and this was before we'd worked out that it's more about the meaning to ourselves in the art. It seemed like we were really trying to overachieve and compete. So we all had these fantastic works of art. They were incredible. And then sort of after our teacher said, you know, guys, it's about you and your, you know, what you get from it rather than competing with everybody else. It was like, oh, okay. It kind of went down a little bit from then. They were still good, but they were more meaningful to us rather than trying to impress other people. But hell, they were good. Yeah. No, it's just been a really great group and a really great course, and it's such a shame that it can't go on. Hopefully they will be able to continue it.
Recommend it to someone else?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You just get so much out of it, and it's quite unique from what I've heard out there. So yeah, do it.
I think I was unsure. I've not done professional counselling, so what exactly did the combination of art and the therapy side of it. So there was that uncertainty, and also coming into a group, how I felt, whether I felt really, at first I didn't feel so safe because I didn't know anybody, so I was getting to know my way around. No, certainly a lot more left up to your own interpretation, which I didn't think would be the case. And the first thing that I'm aware of was we did the story of your creativity, and I struggled some form. I did a drawing, and I think I'd had many different goes at it, but and I wasn't prepared to reveal very much. I remember I skimmed over lots of stuff and I couldn't finish it fast enough. I just want to get out of the place. Well, I'm certainly a lot more relaxed with things now, yeah. Yeah, I guess for me there was it was almost like a thread going through the 2 years, and when we're doing the heuristic process of inquiry, we actually did the 5 senses, and one of the things that really gripped me was the sense of smell, and took me sense of sort of earthiness, and I actually replicated that when I did a mandala that was done later on. So it showed to me how powerful there are themes that are going on in my life, in my psychic, that it is good to actually acknowledge, that actually sometimes needs to be revisited. Probably the last one that we've just done, which was the treasure map. And it's interesting because I sort of went to it with gusto. because we were looking at an issue or a problem, and I because throughout the last 2 years there's been quite big hurdles in my life, one of which is in April last year my mother died, and in April this year I was diagnosed with breast cancer, so the diagnosis and everything. And throughout the process of those, I've looked at life as things as being like a hurdle to get over. And so I did this thing of a problem of a line where it was hurdles, and it really resonated with me. I was able to be very definite about what I was seeing, how fragile it was, and how you needed to go deeper into things. Yeah. So it was quite significant. I guess it was very informative in enabling me to understand what therapeutic arts is, because it was that switching from we did many processes, and we were switching from one and to another process, and we come back to it. So there was this combination of information, and what I started to realize that sometimes it was actually the transition of going from one thing to another. So to me it was like looking at something slightly obliquely. It's almost like when you blur your eyes and you see an image in front of it, but when you blur your eyes you actually get a different image. So it informed me the need to be less controlling and less tight around it, the way to be relaxed around it, and that's where change transition. So it's been very informative for me as I'm going through transitions now. Yeah, I like the sand thing. That was great because it was actually very tactile, and it was interesting way of doing it, so doing things that I would never have thought of, So to me it sort of took you back to childhood. There was that sense of play, and yet there was also a very mature sort of overlay of it, and we talked about ambition, or actually achievements it was. And for me immediately came cherry on the top. So my mound of sand had a cherry on the top, and then it was the process all leading up to it that was a record of my achievements that I want to display. Yeah, look, I was blown away. We did the masks for the 4 elements, and Elena did the most amazing performance. It was incredibly creative, it was incredibly personal, but it was simple. It was actually straight to the point, and the message was clear. It was about the whole question of the violence of a war, but also the simplicity of a flower, combining the two, how through creativity you can override things. So to me, I took that away. I don't think I'll ever forget just how beautiful and how creative she was able to do this. It was such an honest performance. It was really, really, and again, that's the power, if you like, of the creative process, that we're getting to see, yeah. I guess one of the things when I was first of all talking about at the start how I didn't trust the space I was in, I think as we lead into being counsellors, therapists, it's being aware that it will take time. So for someone to be able to disclose or know how much to disclose, we've got to be patient with it. And so things like, unconditional positive regard. I love the Carl Rogers idea of, the aha moment, but you've actually got to be right there with them, and so it's all about that person in front at that moment. So yeah, I just think that as a prospective, worker, I think as I've experienced things, I'm actually learning what to do for the client.
Well, it was a little bit scary, and I think I wasn't sure what to expect, and because I hadn't done any study for quite a while, it was a big shock to the system getting back into it. And I guess, you know, coming into a room with 30 other odd individuals that I'd never met before in my life, yeah, it was an amazing process, I guess. I didn't know really what to expect. I guess my expectation was that it would value add to a lot of the skills that I already had, and sort of bring it all together into something as an art therapist, I guess. Well, I guess the major one for me was around I guess the performances that we did, and the first one that was probably really good for me was when we did the performances around the masks, and there was one that I did which was Earth, and that was of a face looking through some trees, which I later on made a further artwork out of it. And I guess doing that performance was, I thought I'd had everything organised, and I had the mask where the eyes actually lit up, and I hadn't actually practiced with the mask with the lights on, and then suddenly when I put the mask on, I realised I couldn't see a bloody thing. So I pretty much had to do the whole performance blind. So yeah, I think if I had a video that would have been a sight to see, but anyway, it's probably good that I didn't get to see it. But yeah, I guess again making the masks again, that was a great process to go through. We then had to make some masks and that for the last performance that we did, which was the Ugly Duckling. So I really enjoyed doing all those and researching that, and seeing how that would come together with the characters of the story that we did. I really enjoyed doing all that with all my my peers. It really helped, yeah, develop lots of different techniques. I guess that's the other thing, like I've had so much fun through this process, and also made a lot of new friends as well. Yeah, well, what I can say is, like, during the process of heuristic and towards the end, I think I used a lot of Valium. I remember thinking, nearly right through that process, what the hell is this, and how is this going to be used on anyone, or how can it really help you to understand if you're counselling someone or doing some art therapy. I guess it was towards the end when we had to pull the whole process together, and we used a whole lot of images in that process to come to know something towards the end. And I remember one image, and it was just really bizarre. We had to pick pictures out of paper, and there's this one image of a father and his son sitting on the beach. And I picked it out, and I thought, yeah, that's something resonates with me with that. But then when we went through the process, and it just got deeper and deeper and deeper, this image just, it blew my mind, and then it brought up lots of stuff within me, and stuff that I thought that I'd dealt with and had lots of therapy around, and of course it was still underlining underneath. So this process helped to, I guess, bring it up a little bit, but also be able to process it, and hopefully I don't have to deal with it again. So yeah, it was full on, but I have to say now, I can say it was a great experience. That's a hard one. I guess for me, there was lots of them. You know, there's the sand tray stuff, the clay, there was the collage. But I guess and of course the mask making, that was one of my big favourites. But I guess the main parts were around drama, and you know, working with others in a group around that was just amazing. And with the Ugly Duckling, you know, there's so much work went into that, but it was just an amazing process to go through with my peers, and one that I will look back on with lots of really good memories. I guess for me it was around, well, I guess everyone. I think, you know, we all did so many different things, and I think, you know, doing my stuff in conjunction with others as well, it was just, you know, I learnt stuff and they learnt stuff from me, and yeah, it's just, and it was competitive, I guess, too, which helps, you know, spur us all along, and it was also great to see what other people had done with the same concept. I think that was a really interesting process as well. Yeah, well, as I said, you know, the photo from Heuristic was probably one of the major things for me. I guess in terms of artwork, I guess when I first started, I was not a very good drawer at all, and stick figs and egg figures were probably the best I could do. But as the years have gone on, I've actually, you know, it was a challenge to myself to practice and try new things. And yeah, I can't say. There's probably one where and that was in a narrative where we had to draw a picture from a childhood memory, and I drew a clown under a tree, and yeah, that was probably one of the better things that I did, but it also had a lot of meaning behind it as well. I'll just say it's been a really great journey, and I've met, you know, lots of amazing people, and that I'd do it all over again. It's just been a beautiful 2 years of my life.
The first time coming here, I was absolutely petrified. And yeah, I had no idea what to expect. I was looking around and like, who are these people and where are they from? And I don't know, I just had no idea of or concept of what journey I was about to embark on. Yeah.
So it wasn't.
Was it what I expected? It was definitely not what I expected. I guess in my head I just thought I'd be learning new skills and doing a bit of art, and it was a whole lot more than that. It was an incredible journey. A journey of self-discovery. It was just really intense at times, but so rewarding and beautiful. Like, yeah. Over the last 2 years, it was really significant how empowering, or how powerful the art therapy process is, and it really was humbling at the sense of community in class, like how vulnerable we allowed ourselves to be, and how we opened ourselves up to trust one another in class, and I think that went hand in hand with all the processes that we did throughout the 2 years. It it was really huge, actually. Whenever we had to do a performance that was like meltdown mode, and oh my god, I can't do this, and da 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 da, and all the fears and stuff, and then we always had Gay and Mark and Louise, like, trust the process kind of thing, and that's, I guess, exactly what we had to do. So the performance, the mask, conceal and reveal, that was huge for me. That was really cathartic, because I got to experience my masks and actually taking them off and being open and sharing, sort of thing. I really loved our group performances. That they were incredibly moving. What else? Narrative, that blew me away. No joke, there's so much that Yeah, it was huge, heuristic. But following the process and the coming to know at the end, it was just mind-blowing. Coming to know by, who would have thought, by looking at images and condensing, and I can't even say the word, bloody phenomenologic. But it's going to haunt me, that word. But that was really a deep inner journey, and that was a pretty nice journey to take. Yeah. All of them. All of them were amazing. It was interesting with Jenna Betton, the clay, and I've actually got my little clay piece that sits in my car and cruises around with me, because that was really something close to my heart. But I guess movement, dance, sound, like the sand tray stuff. I couldn't pick a favourite, because there certainly was just so much. Again, it's really hard, because they were just, I think, I was so emotionally invested in everyone's performances and artwork and stories, and Javita had one where she was singing and had sand and writing words in the sand, and that just really, really moved me, and I really resonated with that. That was, pretty special. Do it. Just do it. Like, take the plunge, have faith, just do it. The power of therapeutic arts is like out of this world. It's and the journey that you go on and the process of inquiry is just such an amazing experience, and I really, you know, I'm looking forward to sharing that with the world, you know. So yeah, do it.
It was a return to study, and I remember that I hadn't thought about doing the course for a very long time before I enrolled, but I knew once I enrolled I definitely was on a pathway that I wanted to be on. Yeah. It kind of was and it kind of wasn't. I remember with the artwork and things like that, that when we were drawing, that I had to really pull myself back from other roles that I had in my life. For instance, I'd worked as a visual merchandiser and was drawing in a way where I might have been drawing for something to be displayed, and I really needed to let go of that and allow it to be messy and scribble and just play. Yeah. Heuristic stuff really stood out, and I know there's a question about that coming up anyway, but it was kind of cathartic in a sense, caused me to examine a lot of my life. It was so powerful. I think, you know, creating a collage in, you know, 10 minutes pretty much, and then what we were able to get out of that was just so valuable. I was amazed at how powerful that process was, yeah. It's a very powerful process, very personal as well, but I'm happy to share. My question with the heuristic process was my experience of relationship, and I remember thinking when I started to do that project that I was thinking about my relationship with things and ideas and music and fashion. And I found as I went along and I did more work on the project, it really wasn't about that at all. It was about my relationship with people, and there was lots of references to hands and hands holding hands, and put me in touch with something that perhaps I might have shut down a long time ago. So very moving, quite cathartic in a sense, and very powerful. Yeah. I think the Tree of Life exercise was probably the standout, and I think for me caused me to reflect upon my story of who I am, and to examine a lot of stuff, you know, especially from the root system, you know, explored a lot of stuff. Felt the need to go back and even externalise stuff back then to understand why I am who I am today. So really I found that, again, you know, maybe even more powerful than the heuristic stuff, the Tree of Life. I really liked making the cards in the drama, was it the drama subject, where we made the character cards. I really enjoyed that process. I put so much into making those cards. It took me ages, and I really enjoyed that. And the cards for me were they were a story, in that they told the story of who I am as a person. For instance, the first one was the traveller, so I'm a traveller on this planet, and you know, move through the various life stages. Each card represented, for instance, my role. I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a giver, you know, I'm a healer. I saw it as a sort of circular journey, and very powerful. Yeah. I think the most recent performance where we did the standout moment, and I know that every single one of us put so much hard work and thought into pulling that together, and we all brought our various strengths to that project, and look, it was an absolute standout, really amazing. Yeah. Oh, I think the Tree of Life. I actually, in class, I did a rough sketch of the Tree of Life, and from that I reflected further and I actually did another one. And for me, it's memorable because it enabled me to step back into my younger self and to, I guess, re-experience a really nice time in my life. You know, I recalled, you know, remembering being in early adolescence and, you know, just having that freedom to, you know, come and go as I please and not have the burdens of what was to come later on in my life. So I'm really sort of grateful for that experience. It was really, really, I think, you know, even, I guess, life-changing in a sense, because it enabled me to explore a lot of unresolved stuff. And again, I think, you know, almost like a cathartic experience. Yeah. Very moving, very powerful. Oh, look, just, you know, what a great bunch of people to share the journey with, and being, you know, with creative people or like-minded people in a creative space has just been just so rewarding and so valuable, and something, you know, that I'll remember forever. You know, it's been a great experience.
My experience when I first walked in the doors, not as a superhero like I am today, but yeah, just as an ordinary girl starting this course, I think, yeah, there were a little bit of mixed emotions, but look, the main one was excitement. I was excited about embarking on the journey of the course. Yeah. Was it what I was expecting? I felt when I first applied and then got into this course, I felt that I needed to keep an open mind about what was to come over the next 2 years, and because from the start I knew that it would be a bit of a roller coaster in terms of emotions. It was going to be deep, and anything to do with art for me has always done that. So I'll just say that I was keeping an open mind. I didn't have great expectations. You know, we did, when we worked on self-esteem, you know, with narrative, for me, it was quite a powerful process to go through. But there's been so many in this course, so it's hard for me to pinpoint. That's probably been the most recent one that really stuck out, and that I feel made a significant difference to who I am as a person. they're all unique and different, and all stuck out to me in different ways. But there was one, and I have thought about this over and over, and we were to present. It was the first piece that I sang in, that I used music and the power of that and how that's affected me in my life, and that was huge. Made a big difference to the way I now use music. Yeah. Wow, the heuristic process. Do you know, just that from the start to finish, that damn word followed me around. It just didn't matter what I was doing. It kept kind of seeping its way into the fabric of my life. It was, it was really amazing, really magical. I chose the word intimacy, and it was like, it just was really present everywhere, everything I did. Amazing. The modalities, like, they're all powerful in their own way, and that's what's interesting about it, isn't it? I think using the modality of music as a therapeutic process sticks out. I had an experience with clay, which I wasn't expecting. That really stuck out for me too. But, you know, just basic images in the depictions we've done over the 2 years, just with pastels or pencils, or has been as equally as powerful and stuck out just as much. So it's, you know, they all play a role, but they're probably the three that have been, for me, most powerful. Oh, they all did. They all have over the last 2 years. I've been amazed. It's been incredible to be witness to other people's processes, you know. Growth process has been amazing. Look, I think there was a presentation Sarah did, and I had a real reaction to it, an emotional reaction to it, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was amazing. But now I've had reactions to a lot of, in fact, everybody's, you know, in one way or another, but that one stuck out for me, yeah, for sure. Look, just to keep an open mind about this whole creative process, because the whole 2 years have been exactly that, just one creative process, and you don't know what's coming, and you don't know how you're going to evolve. And the other thing I'd add is that the friendships and the group you end up in is where you're meant to end up, and I think that's been just as magical and powerful as my own individual process through it, is that the group along the way, and the friendships and the supportive environment to go on this journey has been just remarkable and unforgettable. Yeah, thanks.
Exciting, nervous, but mostly exciting, I'd say, yeah. No, I didn't really know what to expect. I guess I had looked at the course for quite a few years and didn't realise, even though it was experiential, I didn't realise how experiential it was going to be. So that was that was a surprise, I guess, at how hands-on it was. And but no, it was probably a lot different to what I had envisioned it to be. I thought it would be more arty. Just how powerful the therapeutic process is, and having an opportunity, you know, the first day that I come in, I said I was nervous and excited, and I could see that in a lot of my classmates as well. And just the growth that we've all gone through just in experiencing the process has been amazing. So that's probably the most thing I've taken out of it, is how powerful the therapeutic process is, and just really mindful of that for when I carry that through to working with clients. I think every single piece. One of the terms that we hear a lot in the class is just dipping your toes in, you know, picking topics when we're doing the process and experiencing the process that isn't too heavy. But, you know, I think once I chose a toothache, and what come out of that was just intense, you know. Had nothing to do with my teeth in the end, and everything to do with some real core beliefs and some real core issues that had been just sitting in there waiting to emerge, and that's when they decided to emerge. So every single process has been significant for me, yeah. That is the module that I don't think we'll ever forget. We still talk about it in class today. At the time, there was so much discussion between us all about how confusing it was, and, you know, what is this? And, you know, what are we supposed to be doing? And so many questions. And so I guess personally what I learned from that was just to, this is really cliche in the classroom, but just trust the process. And I laugh when we say that, because like I could never imagine asking a client to trust the process, but it's just so true, trusting the process. And that, you know, the heuristic process was just around inquiry and personal inquiry. So that's where some real growth happened. That's absolutely where the shift happened for me as a therapist, you know, a potential therapist. I'd have to say two have really stuck with me. The first would be the masks. You know, that was not far away from the heuristic process that we all went through, and you know, it followed the heuristic process, and again, you know, it was around self-inquiry and being able to not only experience that process for myself, but observe the presentations from my classmates was just really beautiful and really powerful. And I couldn't pick one person's performance or anything like that. That whole day I just went home and just felt warm, you know, and connected. The second would be the drama process. Everyone put their all into that, and you know, for example, you know, 2 people had the ugly duckling as a concept, but come up with their own, you know, dramatic production for that, and with the narrative story, and they were 2, you know, completely different journeys, and yet they were both just so poignant and emotional. It was amazing, amazing. Somebody who was interested in doing art therapy and working with people, I would say, you know, go and unpack some of your bags first, and you know, and be prepared to acknowledge how powerful art therapy is, and just really know what self-care is, and before you step into the classroom, and when you walk in there, trust the process. Yeah, that's about it.
It was really scary. I think I would define myself as, at that stage, as being the least creative person you'd ever met. In fact, I came to the pre-interview here from Perth, because we hadn't moved from Perth at that stage, and I came with my sister-in-law, and she's a speech therapist, but she's about as far from arty as anyone you've ever met as well. And we came into that meeting, and they handed us a piece of paper and they handed us a pack of texters, and they said, draw an animal that that you resonate with. And we both just looked at each other and kind of laughed, and we did it, but I didn't find it nearly as difficult as I thought I was going to. And then to come into class and sit either side of all these people that were doing amazing artworks, and I draw stick figures, was really huge for me. And that's taken me probably the last 2 years to feel comfortable in that it's art therapy, it's not art, and it's not about the product, it's about the process, and that's been the biggest thing for me. Well, I didn't know what I was expecting, in all honesty. I just knew that after working with an art therapist for the past 2 years in Perth, I just wanted what she had. We worked together. I worked as a children's counsellor, she worked as the art therapist, and just watching the power of the art with the children that we worked with was just remarkable. And I just knew after 2 years, I want to be able to work in that process. So was it what I expected? No, it wasn't what I expected at all. The moment in the last 2 years, there's just been so many. I don't think there's been one particularly, really, just moments. Not just about me, but watching everyone else in the group grow as well in that space. And you know, a lot of our group never ever done any sort of therapeutic work, and to watch them grow and be able to do that with them. And yeah, I couldn't say that there was actually one real experience. Just yeah, thousands really. Yeah, I think I can't even remember the unit that we were doing, but we had to do a mandala. And from what I'd understood, from what I'd read in the past, mandalas didn't always have to be circular. So I had decided I'd do a mandala in the shape of a heart. And I didn't really know what that was about at the time. I just really wanted to do it as a heart. and so I decided to do it as a pegboard piece. So I'd bought a card, a heart in a shape, a piece of board in the shape of a heart, put the pegs around it, and bought this particular colour string that I used, and I was really happy with it. And then I went to class and was told that the mandala had to be circular. I was really pissed off. I thought, are you kidding me? It's exactly how I want it. I thought it was exactly how I wanted it to be. And so I went away and I bought a piece of board, and my son had to help me to cut it out as a circle, and I stuck the heart over the board. And I realised as I did that this was all about family and community for me, and the heart was the family. It was my children, it was everyone that it's my friends as well, but it was my heart, it was everything that's important to me. But then the circle that went behind it was my community. It was everything else in my world. It was, it was work, and it was TAFE, and it was everybody else that I know. And once I'd done that, it was complete, and it felt complete. And it's probably the one thing that I've made that I love it. I really love it. I'm really proud of it. And it means it sits with me. If I had to, choose anything to take from a fire, that would be one of those things that I would take. I think the heuristic inquiry, I think the word, because we had to come up with a word, I think the word for me was freedom. It was just freedom to work. I'm always telling other people when I do supervision or whatever that, the research, the skills are important, but it's who we are in that space that's important with a client. It's that being genuine, and and I think doing that process, that really proved to me that I am enough, and there was freedom for me to work however it was I wanted to work. I didn't just have to use these skills that I was learning in art therapy, but my play therapy skills would come in handy, and my child psych knowledge comes in handy as well. So I can use all of that, and there's total freedom in that to work with any client in any way. So even though I'm studying art therapy, it just opened so many more doors for me around the way that I work, and that was huge. Yeah, sand tray therapy for me I just adore sand tray therapy. Clay as well, but not so much for me. It's for me the sand, the feel, I guess it feeds into those feelings of freedom, because so I think the sand tray therapy for me feeds into that freedom, that particularly I've watched children work with it, and it just broadens horizons. It just it gives children that sensory experience as well as the cognitive experience around it. And I just sand tray, just love sand tray. I think the last unit that we did, we all had to perform a play around, and ourselves and another group chose The Ugly Duckling. And as much as I loved ours and I did, it was just amazing. There was another group that did one that was culturally relevant. It was so simple, and the story was so profound. And the fact that they used their fingers as their puppets, the story told itself almost, and it just... it just spoke to me, just on a different level completely. Just amazing. To anyone that would consider doing it, do it. Even if you think, like I did, that you're the least creative person in the world. I guess there's nothing else. I've discovered that I'm really creative, and it might not be with a pencil, might not be drawing a picture, but my thought processes, I think, have become much more creative. and trusting the process. You know, I think when I first heard that, it was like almost sounded trite. So, oh, for goodness sake, come on. But I think that's what I've learned to do, is trust, not just trust the process, but trust myself in that process. And that's massive for me. That has increased my confidence incredibly. So to anybody that is the least bit interested in working with people and want to just expand their horizons around doing that, absolutely do it. And to the rest of my student colleagues, I love you all very much, and I've just built so many relationships, you know, as we've gone over 2 years, and I will be devastated when we finish. As much as I whinge and complain about getting up on a Saturday morning, I will be devastated not seeing you, all of you, every week, because I just love all of you. It's fabulous. Yeah. So to come from Perth with no friends, and to come immediately into this, and I wasn't working at the time either, to come immediately into this space was just, it was life-changing for me. It's been an amazing experience. Yeah.
No, it was really exciting because it was something that I've never come across before. I did a short course in counselling, and I was looking into pursuing that path. And having my first interview was about, you know, what do you do about art? What sort of art stuff you do? And I brought up pictures of cake decorating during my interview, and also did a picture. Not artistic, but that got me through the interview, and I made it to the enrollment. So that was the first step in this process. Yes, for me it was basically about learning and growing. It's definitely a journey of self-discovery. You get to know yourself more. And at the end, it's really hard work. You think, oh my God, why did you do this? At the end of the day, when you get to the last day of the course, you look back and you realize that you've come a long way and you've grown so much and you are more confident. It was basically the one where I have to do a piece on change. I have to say change was hard for me until I actually look at the process of change and what it brings to you. Yes, amazingly, I was actually reading that assignment yesterday to discover what I've learned to know. It was basically about change and the process, and how at times our beliefs can lead us astray, and how it's actually an amazing process. It's got its challenges, but you have to look at it as an adventure. And at the end of the day, when you get to your destination, you realize that it's not that bad, and it's really, you know, enjoyable. Yes, definitely. I actually enjoyed clay therapy. It might be something that I might pursue in the future. I think someone mentioned that clay therapy is really good for people suffering from depression, and I would agree with that. Yes, I definitely agree with that fact. I really enjoyed the performances that we did, and two of them I really enjoyed was on the Ugly Duckling. I believe that it's a journey, and which has very powerful messages, and how, you know, what you actually learn along the way about yourself. It's basically a journey of self-discovery. Yes, I would tell people who are considering to enroll to not be scared, because my background is not art and is not counseling. But what I've learned, the knowledge and skill I've gained as a result of this is amazing. And definitely it's the best thing I've actually done for myself. It's just a gift to myself, so I'm really pleased with that.
Adventurous. I just came in, I think, expecting different things than what I did get to learn. I'm very much looking forward to it, really. I was excited because this had to do with art. But I did think we were going to do straight off a lot of art. That was my expectation, I think. Yes and no. Like I said, I thought it was, I myself did not have a clear picture of what art therapy was, but I certainly thought we're going to be, since we're coming to the art department, I thought we were going to be doing a lot of, we did do plenty of art, but I just thought it was going to be that. And it was going to be different. I was bringing with me some understanding and knowledge of art. All that went out the window, which is good. Well, every time there was one of those, what? Really? Moments. The heuristic research, definitely. The performance, we did the performance, a lot came out for me. Narrative, which I thought, oh no, I'm not the writing type and this is going to be difficult. I actually ended up really enjoying it and getting a lot out of it. I'd have to say when we did the mandala, every time I do any art, is something is there. I think that's the magic of it. But within I hadn't done mandalas before, and when I did do it, I was quite amazed at how it evolved, and I did start at the center of it, what seems to be my face in the center, and it spread into some of the most, once looking at it, I was amazed that everything that was important to me and meant something to me or about life and myself was in there, and it just simply evolved with, I don't know, it just came quickly. I think all of them, because they all bring something, whether I'm drawing, of course, for me that's my first medium. And things are always revealed in depiction. I found it hard with movement to express, but definitely the performance was the one that surprised me the most. I had never done anything like that. It was how naturally it came, how it all came about. But when performing, I suddenly was in some flow, and I felt it had to do with some of my hurt feelings and memories of that I brought from childhood in my country. I felt like there was release. I was amazed how much I did get out of that, the performance. So just the physical movement, I can see what they mean as well. It was spontaneous for me, which when I draw, sometimes it's not so spontaneous because I'll still think. So this was, definitely spontaneous, and definitely did also help me release a lot of the emotions. The heuristic process was a very long process. I remember when we began putting it all together, people were having meltdowns, and I was one of those. There was so much in there. At first, it was, especially with people like me, with details, it was kind of difficult. Did not know where this was going, but I was amazed at what did come out of it. And for me, my title was Belonging, and it all came down on how affected I had been by the dictatorship that I experienced in the country, and that I had actually never really exposed my feelings or talked about it or even thought about that there actually was quite harsh memories and hurt and anger that was still in there. So it was quite revealing, it was releasing, and it was very, very helpful. In the end, after all that meltdown, it was very helpful. Many. Look, everybody's brought what I was amazed by the most during this course was mainly the uniqueness. It's not like art classes or art when you go and do art, where, as you can see in the pictures here, you all do the same exercise. This is really about expression. One of the ones that does stand out is the play that Wayne and the rest of that crew put together, which was the story of the ugly duckling, and everyone did this amazing act. I think it was mostly seeing the work of art and how art works, and how you have all these adults that were doing the ugly duckling, but there was so much coming out of it. For me, I just thought it was just amazing to see the process of this expression through the act that, of the ugly duckling. I thought it was amazing. Definitely do it. I think obviously for self-discovery it is amazing, it's very therapeutic, but the main thing I think is that I think it's something that I was talking about just before. It's about being human and about being creative, how as a human species we need this. Just what art provides, just the expression, the communication, which is so important, and just the release. So highly therapeutic, and anybody who was thinking, I think it's, if you are an empathic person who is interested in counselling or being there for others, art works a magic for that. It connects, and just people who have no voice, being able to put it in a depiction and their feelings, their expressions that they can also see for themselves, it's magical. Art is magical.
It was daunting, actually. So many people had come from different professions and different backgrounds, and I'd come from a teaching background, and I didn't have a lot of the social work or counselling experience, so it was a little bit daunting, but it was still very interesting listening to everybody's experiences and how they blended into what we were doing. So Yeah, it was a bit daunting to start with. Yeah. Yes, I'd done this course before, an intuitive art therapy course, and it was just a couple of weekends away over 2 years, and it was really, really insightful, and I wanted to learn more, but I needed the extra counselling awareness, so I was seeking something different. So the course actually addressed that, and it gave me what I needed. So yeah, very enjoyable. There were 2 things stuck out. The growth that you have personally and that you evolve from here, like you're reflecting on the start of the year and how I saw the start of the year and felt about the start of the year, to where I am now has been this evolution and growth and journey of ins and outs and ups and downs, and so that has been awesome. And then the other thing is the friendships that you make, that stands out as well. You laugh together and you cry together and you create together and you share together. So that's been really, really, I love that part of it. Yeah. The one that really stood out is probably one of the most recent, and that was the drama. And we had a great group, and we just blended and evolved the concept very easily, and it was so powerful being part of that group and presenting it, and the evolution of that was amazing, and the friendship shared, and I thought that stood out for me recently, yeah. And then watching everybody else's different performances as well, it was outstanding, yeah. I was recently talking to someone about collage and the process with the collage, and that was actually one of mine as well, because I remember we were asked to get 12 items out of a magazine, random, quick as you can, boom, 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 tearing them out, just didn't even really think about it. And then that process of these randomly chosen pictures to, oh my goodness, I wear a mask. Because one of mine was a mask, and I kept focusing back on the mask, and I didn't realise I was wearing a mask. And just the awareness of that process to what you actually do, from random magazines and the whole, I still can't explain it. Yeah, and that was profound, that part. Yeah. The masks, yeah, because again, tying up the mask to the heuristic process, that has actually, that concept's been through a lot of my processes, is hiding behind a mask. So when we actually had to create the masks, it allowed me to really address it. So that was pretty special, yeah. I've loved being part of everybody else's journey. I've loved sharing their experiences and their growth. I've loved seeing the confidence, and I've loved Roma's presentations because of how she ties it in with her heritage and her profound shift in confidence through that process has been really lovely to be part of, yeah. The very first thing I would say is put aside the fact it's a qualification. Don't focus on where it's going to take you from a job perspective or a bit of paper, and finish it for you, because it's all about, you have to experience your own personal journey to become a very grounded counsellor and art therapist. So For me, my advice would be just do it anyway and enjoy the process, because it is extraordinarily fulfilling for soul and self.
First time I started the course, it was nerve-wracking. Didn't know what to expect. Didn't know what was coming forward. I just didn't really have much of an expectation of what was actually involved. In a way, I thought it was just sort of a lot to do with art and a part of the counselling, but how it sort of all gelled together and came together was quite amazing, I thought. I think what stood out the most for me was personal achievement. I didn't know I could write poetry like I did. So I think that really stuck out, and and then I sort of took notice of what I was actually writing. I thought, I can actually write poetry, and it was just going with the flow, and I just didn't think I had it in me. Yeah. What came to me about all the art pieces was a collaboration of all artwork, and then with the collaboration of all artwork, I've noticed that there's themes and the same image might come up a few times. So working with the unconscious and then going to the conscious, I think that was a big part for me in the way of producing the art. Well, there's a lot of things I discovered about myself. I think one that really stuck out the most is time. When it came to time, I was actually researching on how time came about and what does time mean and to humanity, and then towards the end of it, the time was all about me and that I can't manage my time. I'm shocking at managing time. So I actually went off on a different track and then brought it all back. And the inquiry was basically, hey, you're no good at time management, fix it up, girl. So that. Well, thinking about it, looking back, again, I think was all the poetry. I mean, I love producing and creating artwork because I'm also a visual artist and I love painting, but I didn't want to do any of that through this course. I actually wanted to look at other things and discover things that I didn't know about myself. So yeah, it would have to be the poetic statements and the poetry. Well, looking at everyone's, looking at all our peers' work, and I just thought all of it was just phenomenal. I couldn't say I could pick out one piece that really stood out for me. There was numerous pieces that stood out for me, but what I did find the most fun in sitting down and watching was the performance, the play of performance. Yeah, that was just a blast to watch. I did not enjoy doing it, but I loved observing, and I got a real kick out of that, and to see, you know, people enjoying themselves and the fun and the laughter. Yeah. Go for it. Go grab it and just go for it. Yeah, it changed my life, and I'm quite sure it will change many others, and it will have an impact in helping people and the community also.
I surprisingly invented this term art therapy by myself, because as an artist I discovered how beneficial art is, and I actually thought that I will do my own kind of art therapy, most about art, and I had my own views and my own ways how I'm going to do this. But then I suddenly discovered that there is a profession like this, and I was actually very surprised. And when I found that there is a course, I was actually happy. So I enrolled in the course, and what I didn't expect, that there will be so much counseling in it. I expected that will be much more art and like different ways how to make art therapeutical. And at some point I even thought maybe I'm not belonging, but still I wanted to proceed, and I'm very glad that I actually almost finished. The moments, probably it was drama performance, maybe because I was very shy as a child, and I always I didn't like performances, and always escaped from all kind of performance, and felt uncomfortable on scene. But so here it was my first chance to experience these drama moments. So I liked this, and I liked some of our themes, like masks or heuristics was very good. Maybe making poems, because I never thought before that I am able to make a poem in English, and then I realized I can, so it was a nice surprise for me. It was definitely about our heuristics. Probably because we spend a lot of time on heuristics. It was very beneficial for me. I learned a lot about myself from this process, and never expected that I can gain so much knowledge about myself from what I thought was just a nice couple of pictures, nice collage. So heuristics probably was the main thing for me in this course, and I would like to learn more about it, and maybe to learn how to use it as a tool later. I probably liked most ones that I never tried before. I liked clay. Surprisingly, I never tried it before and liked it very much. Sand. I liked all things about drama. Again, I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Role-playing, masks. Masks are very interesting. I'm still doing this course, will continue in 2 weeks, so I'm in the process of creating masks and this performance, so I'm looking forward to it. It's actually again about drama. There were 2 performances about Ugly Duckling, and I liked both of them, and yeah, were interesting. Completely different approach. One of them was with Aboriginal theme and all this music, Aboriginal stuff, and some kind of minimalism, because they used not dolls, not costumes, but just painting on the fingers. And it was so interesting that you can perform even with your finger. It could be powerful, so that was good. And another one was so well staged, and was really interesting to see and to look at all of this. What I wanted to add, that this course I think is the best thing that happened to me during the last 15 years, and I never expected it to be so powerful, to be so interesting, to be so full of knowledge and so beneficial to me personally. What else I learned? Maybe how interesting people are. So maybe you can't see a lot from outside appearance of a person, but what a world hiding from this probably humble appearance. And it's so interesting, so powerful. Yeah, maybe I wanted to add that it was a privilege to study with all my colleagues and students, and teachers were so perfect and nice, and yeah, it was so good thing.
Well, the last 2 years has seen the final group of full-time students going through the program from a full-time perspective, and we've certainly travelled a journey together. I suppose the students themselves, each year they come to us with all sorts of wide eyes and expectations, and gradually as the year unfolds, we see all different sorts of pathways and avenues opening up for them. Into the second year, we really start to see consolidation of ideas of where they're wanting to go with their art therapy, and sometimes I'm surprised at the twists and turns that the individual pathways do take. Look, I've got a particular fondness for each year that I work with, but this group being the last one, I'm truly going to be sad when the curtain falls and we say our final goodbyes, which sort of brings me to the other point that I wanted to talk about, and that is the future of art therapy. We're hoping to be able to continue offering studies in the field here at Chisholm, and our manager has certainly given every indication that we'll be able to offer a higher ed qualification, and it'll be one that a number of students will, our graduates, so that's you guys, will be able to benefit from to continue their studies and experience, and to even take greater steps towards different career opportunities there. So I'm very excited to think that perhaps our journey together can commence again at some stage in the future. So the process that our students come on is certainly one that is a surprise for all of us. Each person experiences the processes in a different way, and I'm sure when they start the journey they're not quite sure where they will end up. But look, can I just say that every single student in this group has certainly embraced the opportunity to experience experience what we've been offering, and by now, the last unit that we're doing together, they're trusting in the process. So our last journey together, the small amount that we have left, I have every confidence that everyone of you guys will be out there practicing and remembering the wonderful things that they've learned and putting it to great use. So I'm very pleased and very proud of you all, and I look forward to keeping in contact with you and finding out about the wonderful things that you'll be doing as a result of our journey together. So thank you all, and it's not goodbye, it's keep in touch. You know where I am. Thanks.